shall we begin?
Let the games begin.
All right.
A new age has begun. An age of freedom.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Get to the chopper!
This is going to be quite the ride.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to the Movie Pit Podcast. I am your host, Christian. Thank you very much for joining me on the podcast this week. We have a great podcast this week. I am your host, Christian. This is the podcast where we talk about all of the big breaking movie news items of the week. We also talk about the movie trailers that came out this week. We have quite a few of those this week. And we'll talk about the movies that are coming out in theaters and streaming for all your viewing pleasures. Let's just get right into it. I'm not going to waste any time. Let's just get right into it. So, we're going to start off with one particular movie news item that came out after the podcast went up last week. It was updated this week, but I'm just going to put it here now, just, for the sake of continuity. My own podcast, the new adaptation of Stephen King's Salem's Lot, which will be produced by James Wan and written and directed by Gary Dauberman, who is the director of Annabelle Comes Home. He was also the writer of the Annabelle series. He also wrote It and It Chapter 2. He also wrote The Nun, so he has a very big history with Wan. He has found its lead role in Lewis Pullman from The Strangers Prey at Night. He plays the brother. He was also in Bad Times at the El Royale. He plays the I don't want to call him a bellhop because that seems kind of mean, but he's the guy that works at the hotel. He's also going to be in the upcoming Top Gun Maverick, which we will get to more later. And yes, he is the son of Bill Pullman, the actor. So that was the original news that came out. It was updated this week with some more casting announcements. Mackenzie Lee from Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. She was also in the TV series Gotham and The Slap. Spencer Treat Clark from Glass. He plays the son. He was also he's also, I don't know if he's still in it or he is, but he's associated with the TV series Animal Kingdom, which is on TNT, and Bill Camp from The Queen's Gambit. He's the custodian that teaches Anya Taylor-Joy's character to play chess. He's also a very big character actor. He pops up in a lot of things. But that was the thing that he was most recently in that I assume people will probably watch. They joined in, and then Alfre Woodard was the last person casted in the movie as well. She will play Dr. Cody, who in the novel is actually a man, and helps out our heroes to fight vampires in the small town. So that's all was updated this week. So that is Salem's Lot. By the way, for those unfamiliar with Salem's Lot, of course, again, based off the Stephen King novel, Pullman will play author Ben Mears, a man who returns to his childhood home of Jerusalem's Lot in search of inspiration for his next book, only to discover his hometown is being preyed upon by a vampire, leading him to band together with a ragtag group that will fight the evil presence. Filming will begin this month, actually in September, which is why the cast came, or at least the announcements came pretty close together. It will begin filming in this month in Boston. So we'll probably be hearing a little bit more about Salem's Lot in the future, or in the quick future. All right, so that was the movie news item that came out last week after the podcast went up. At least a big noteworthy one. Of course, it was again updated this week, but I just put them all right there together. So let's move on to the rest of the movie news items. We're going to talk about, of course, trailer talk. Or we're going to talk about trailers in trailer talk. There you go.
Coming soon to theaters.
So I'm going to give some quick thoughts on some trailers that came out this week. The first one is The Guilty. It's actually a teaser from Netflix that was released, which will come out on October 1st, or stream on October 1st, rather. The teaser doesn't actually have any footage, but instead it actually sets the atmosphere and tone of what the movie will be about. It is directed by Anton Folkwall. The movie is a remake of a Danish film of the same name. Of course, probably in Danish. It's actually not called The Guilty, which followed an emergency service dispatcher and former police officer who answers an emergency call from a woman who's been kidnapped. When the line suddenly goes dead, he sets out to locate the victim before it's too late. The movie is written by True Detective series creator Nick Pizzolatto. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. And will co-star Ethan Hawke, Peter Sarsgaard, Riley Keough, Paul Dano, Bill Burr, and many more. The main star of the movie will be Jake Gyllenhaal. I probably should have said that first. Jake Gyllenhaal plays the dispatcher. So, again, it's just a teaser. It sets the atmosphere for the movie. I'm assuming Riley Keough probably plays the woman that gets kidnapped. But yeah, there you go. So if you want to go check that out, that's just a teaser. The next quick thought trailer we're going to talk about is for a remake of a French film called My Son, and it has a very cool and interesting concept. James McAvoy leads the movie. He's played a father who's trying to deal and solve the disappearance of his young son that may or may not be connected to his mysterious life. So what is the catch of the movie? If you watch the trailer, it does kind of set it up a little bit. Also, McAvoy was not given a script. He was not given a script for a movie he was a part of. So everything that McAvoy does is basically improvisation. And he's reacting to, his cast members. It's only McAvoy. All the other members of the cast have the script and know what the story is. So they're basically kind of just leading McAvoy along the way. It's a true mystery thriller in the purest sense of the term. Apparently, director Christian Cario, who did the French film back in 2017, did the same thing with his lead actor on that film. So he just brought it over and did it with McAvoy. So that's pretty cool. So My Son will premiere on Peacock, the streaming service for NBC and Comcast and Universal, on September 15th. So we don't have to wait too long for that movie. It's about 2 weekends from now. So yeah. I'm very intrigued by it. I remember McAvoy was part of this movie, and I remember them saying that there was something different of the approach of the movie. I forgot that it was that McAvoy doesn't have a script, and usually it's kind of it's very much of a challenge, and the trailer kind of puts it out that way too. When it's just leading when it's telling us that, hey, McAvoy doesn't have a script of the movie. And I think, I don't think there's a lot of actors out there where if you put them in that position, they can really do it. But I think McAvoy is one of those actors. So I'm really looking forward to this. I do have the Peacock streaming app streaming service. So I definitely will be watching this, and I'm really excited for it. So the trailer is really good itself. I don't know how. I'm sure they probably gave him like some guidelines, and stuff like that. But for a script, obviously a script's very important for an actor. But I think McAvoy can knock this out of the park. So the last quick teaser we're going to talk about is, the last trailer we're going to talk about is a teaser itself. Got ahead of myself there. It is directed by Roland Emmerich, because Roland Emmerich has a new disaster movie, and that movie is called Moonfall. And yes, it is about a group of people who attempt to save Earth when the moon begins to collide with it. The group contains a NASA executive and former astronaut Joe Flower, played by Halle Berry, an astronaut named Brian Harper, played by Patrick Wilson, and a conspiracy theorist played by Game of Thrones actor John Bradley, aka Samuel Tully. The movie will co-star Michael Pena, Charlie Plummer, Kelly Yu, and Donald Sutherland, of course, amongst many others. It's a teaser. It's announced as a teaser, but there's a lot of destruction for a teaser, like Earth-ending destruction. Like the Earth is going to get destroyed at the end of this movie. Like I don't think there's any way you can save the Earth in this thing. And obviously it's a sci-fi movie, so they're going to take some liberties, because if the moon did really come to Earth, we'd all be dead. There is no way we can stop it. So unless NASA's been hiding this, something that can push the moon back, which I highly doubt, although it is a sci-fi movie, so maybe that's the case. But this is this is big, and it's a Roland Emmerich movie of all that, so that it's going to get jacked up. The teaser, it does look like it gives something away that maybe it's not just the moon trying to kill us. I won't say anything else, but near the end of it, it does kind of look like maybe there's something more to what's going on. So that's all I'll say about that. I did like a shot, though, in the teaser. It's kind of a reverse shot, really, if you think about it, of the 2001 A Space Odyssey shot, the one that's made famous with the slow reveal of Earth, and then it kind of just pans up, and you see the baby overlooking it. Here, it's kind of the same shot. It's the Earth, and then you see the lights slowly start going away on Earth, and then it's the moon overshadowing the Earth, and it looks like it's coming crashing down onto it. So, yeah, it's a teaser. I'm sure, that when the trailer comes out, we'll have a little bit more information. But it kind of looks like they kind of gave away a little bit at the end from that teaser. But so watch at your own risk if you want. The movie doesn't come out until February 4th of next year, so we have quite a while before this movie comes out. But yeah, a new Roland Emmerich disaster movie's coming to us. All right, so those are the quick reaction trailers that I want to talk about. Let's move on to the bigger trailers that came out this week. The first one is the new trailer for Malignant. Warner Brothers released that new trailer for the James Wan's return to horror. He's directing this movie. The movie centers on a woman named Madison, played by Annabelle Wallis, who ironically starred in Annabelle. She was also in the new Mummy movie. I really got to know her from the first couple seasons of Peaky Blinders, which she was on, who gets constant nightmares of grisly murders and discovers when she wakes up that the murders really happened. It also appears that we'll have an imaginary kind of friend deal. That was also kind of given away in the last trailer. This trailer, goes back to it. It looks like maybe it's connected to Madison in some way as she was a kid. We do get some cool shots, like the camera following Madison through the house from the top view, so we see like the framing of the house as she runs through it. The walls kind of doing this warping kind of thing, kind of like a dreamy kind of state, and of course some spooky imagery that only Wan can really deliver when you think about it. Wan has said that the movie is inspired by Giallo films and even from the man himself, Dario Argento, which Wan has said that this movie will be his most violent and goriest that he's done, which is saying a lot. So we'll get to see how that works out. Malignant will open in theaters and HBO Max on September 10th. I've been looking forward to this movie since it was announced. I love James Wan. I love what he's done with the horror genre. So he's probably one of my favorite horror movie directors, especially one of my favorite recent in my lifetime horror directors. So I'm very much looking forward to Malignant, and the fact that we don't have to wait too long for the next movie to come out is really, really cool. All right, let's move on to the next trailer. And the next trailer is for a Netflix film. It is the first trailer for the long-awaited action comedy Red Notice, which stars Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot. Johnson will play an FBI agent / profiler, John Hartley, who is on the heels of the world's most notorious art thief, the Bishop, played by Gadot in the movie. She's managed to stay one step ahead of him, and Hartley reluctantly has to team up with an infamous conman and fellow art thief, Nolan Booth, played by Ryan Reynolds, to help track down the Bishop, even though both now have red notices by Interpol. Red notice means that they are the world's most wanted criminals, Booth and the Bishop anyway. Written and directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber, who directed Dodgeball, We're the Millers, and The Rock's previous films, Central Intelligence and Skyscraper. Red Notice will start streaming on Netflix on November 12th. I like the teaser, or the trailer. It's an actual trailer, not a teaser. It's a trailer. I liked it. I didn't mind it. I thought it was, it did what it set out to do. It shows, Reynolds being, Ryan Reynolds being the smart mouth, and we have, Johnson playing not necessarily the straight man. He's also getting his quips in with Ryan Reynolds. So them two together should be really fun. And Gadot kind of playing the villain here, at the very least the antagonist to these two. I kind of like that. I don't know, maybe she's kind of giving a somewhat kind of femme fatale kind of thing. I didn't expect that, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. I think we have to get past the idea that, the FBI doesn't go international, but, we'll sidestep that a little bit. You could just made him another CIA character. I think everyone would have been okay with that, but I liked it. It wasn't bad. I like the trailer. I have been looking forward to this, and I mean, you got Johnson, you got Reynolds, and you got Gadot. I mean, what's not to like? What is not to like about that? And the action looks pretty cool. So I'm excited for this. I am. I'm not ashamed to admit that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And finally, the last two trailers that came out this week were for No Time to Die, the new James Bond movie. MGM released not one, but like I mentioned, two trailers for the new James Bond film. An international trailer and a U.S. trailer. Both trailers are similar in nature, with just a few new shots on both that we haven't seen on TV spots or trailers. Nothing that really gives away the movie whatsoever. So it's a lot of the footage in there is stuff that we've already seen, just edited differently, and some new shots in there. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. The US trailer is a bit different in that the beginning of the trailer gives us footage from the past Daniel Craig films, hitting home that this is, Daniel Craig's last James Bond film, and then going into the new film with all the the stuff that we've seen already. The international trailer doesn't do that, but it does remind us that there is a new 00 agent played by Lashana Lynch. So we don't, again, there's not a lot of new stuff in there if you want to just watch it just for the sake of, getting excited again for No Time to Die, because No Time to Die will come out soon. It comes out next month. We're already in September, so it comes out next month in October. Unless you live, in the UK, it comes out later this month. But both trailers are great. I forget which one it is, but there's like one new scene, and it's like referring to, or it centers around Rami Malek's and Rami Malek's character, who's the villain of the movie, and what he's trying to do. I don't think we've ever seen that in any of the TV spots or trailers before. So that's kind of the one new version. I forget again which trailer it is. There's a nice little comedic beat with Q, Ben Warshaw's character. I think that's in the international trailer. I don't think that's in the US trailer. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think this has been delayed long enough, and we've been looking forward to it. So I'm just excited for the new James Bond movie coming out. Hopefully it does come out. Again, we'll get to some stuff about that later, but hopefully it comes out. But like I mentioned, if you live in the UK, No Time to Die comes out on September 28th. If I do have any UK listeners, please show yourselves. Please, I want to know who you are. And here in the States on October 8th. So like I mentioned, not too long. We just have to wait a month for this movie. Hopefully it does finally come out. All right, so that was trailer talk. If I missed any trailers, obviously I'll put them down below in the description/show notes area. All of those trailers that I talked about will be linked down below, so you can go watch them for the first time or go watch them again. So yeah, there you go. All right, so let's move on to this week's movie news items. We're going to start off like we always do with some quick fire movie news items. All right, so the first quick-fire movie news item is that after the success of Jungle Cruise, Disney wants to run it back because Disney is officially developing a sequel to Jungle Cruise. Not only that, Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt are expected to return, along with director Jaime Collet-Serra and screenwriter Michael Green. The movie did receive $35 million domestically and over $30 million on Disney Plus's Premier Access within its first 3 days of release. It's gathered like over $100 million worldwide already. So yeah, that's a success, especially in the pandemic. So again, I didn't give my thoughts here on the podcast. I did give my thoughts on the Twitter page for the podcast. I enjoyed Jungle Cruise. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. So I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to it. Johnson and Blunt are just great together, really. So I'm down for this. Speaking of sequel news, the Hulu original film Vacation Friends, which came out this past weekend, is also getting a sequel, and it's going to be called Honeymoon Friends. The news comes after the movie reportedly became, quote, the streamer's most watched opening weekend of an original film for Hulu, which is saying something. The writer-director Clay Traver will return for both duties, writer and director. It's unknown if the other co-writers, Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, will return. Expected to return are the four main leads in Little Ray Howley, Yvonne Orji, Meredith Hager, and
John C.
So it's unclear on that. I have not watched Vacation Friends yet. I do plan on doing that soon because I'm a big fan of Little Ray Howley and John Cena, so I'll be watching that. Moving on, Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson are in advanced negotiations to reunite and star in the romantic action-adventure titled Ghosted. The movie will be written by Rent Reese and Paul Wernick, who wrote the Deadpool movie and the Zombieland movies. It will be directed by Dexter Fletcher, who did Rocketman recently, and will be released through Apple TV+. So that's saying something. Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson, yeah. Romantic action and adventure movie, yeah, sure. I'm down for that. Yeah. You don't have to say any more. That's all I needed. And that's all we have, movie news wise. So I'm done with that. Let's move on. Netflix has picked up the global rights to Legendary Pictures' new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The movie is produced by Fede Alvarez, who directed the new Evil Dead movie, or not the new one coming out, but the last Evil Dead movie that came out, and Don't Breathe. It will be directed by David Blue Garcia, who's I forgot to put down when he directed. I think he directed The Hole. Is that what it's called? I could be wrong about that. But it's something like that. The movie will take place years after the original film, the classic original film, making it a sequel to the original series. Although we don't actually have any plot details at the moment. It is known, but we do know that it is a sequel, a direct sequel to the first movie. It's unknown when Netflix will decide to release the movie, but I'm going to say probably sometime in October, just because, that makes sense. But, whatever, to each their own, I guess. But I'm pretty sure. And that movie's been done. I'm pretty sure it's done. So I think they just bought up the rights and they're going to release it. So I'm pretty sure we'll probably get it in October. I hope we get it in October because it just makes sense. All right. Those were your quick fire movie news items. Very, like I mentioned, it was kind of a short week, but a lot of the short week was some pretty big movie news items. So let's get to those pretty big movie news items with the big movie news items of the week. And we're going to start off with this one. The much talked about story of Dennis Rodman's 48 Hours in Vegas, which was recently highlighted in the Last Dance documentary, is getting a feature film treatment from Lionsgate and producers Phil Lord and Chris Miller. For those unaware of the story, Rodman, during the NBA Finals run in 1998 for the Chicago Bulls, took a 48-hour trip to Las Vegas, and things, for the lack of a better way of putting it, got wild. Seriously, the story is so ridiculous that I'm surprised it hasn't been made into a movie yet, or at least parodied by a movie yet. Rodman will be involved in the process as he will be a producer on the film. It will be written by Jordan Von Dina, who is a writer on the Animaniacs reboot series. They also wrote The Binge, which I believe is on Hulu. It's a new series. They will be writing the screenplay. Seriously, this story is ridiculous. If you watch The Last Dance, you pretty much know what the story is. I'm sure there's more detail of what it is. And the fact that Rodman's going to get involved in it, it may, he may, over exaggerate some things in the movie, but we kind of know what the story is now because of The Last Dance. And it's I'm not going to say what it is on the podcast. I do recommend you go and watch The Last Dance if you haven't already. They pretty much devoted a whole episode to it. So, that should be interesting to see in a movie form. Okay. I'm down. Why not? The next movie news item is the fourth Expendables movie is officially happening because this week it was announced that Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham, Randy Couture, and Dolph Lundgren will all return for the movie. And new names include 50 Cent, yes, rapper turned actor 50 Cent, Megan Fox, and Tony Jaa have also joined the cast. The fourth outing will be directed by Scott Wan, who directed Act of Valor and Need for Speed, with production set to start next month in October. The report also announced that Statham will be the primary star, taking away the lead from Stallone, and Megan Fox will act as the female lead in the movie. If production does start in October, we can probably expect some more casting updates in the coming weeks. Maybe. I don't know why my voice got so high. Actually, they hurt my voice. And I'm not cutting that out. Anyway, this is, there's been rumors that the fourth Expendables movie was going to happen. A few weeks ago, we talked about Sylvester Stallone saying that he designed a new ring for the Expendables movie that kind of started the wheel a little bit that it's probably going to happen. And now we have an official announcement. And the fact that Jason Statham, who has kind of always been the co-lead of the movie, or at least a supporting role in the movie, is going to be the main star. I guess Stallone's going to take a back seat. Maybe he gets injured. I doubt they kill Sylvester Stallone, especially considering that he was one of the people that, helped create this thing. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how they shift the focus a little bit. As for the new cast members, Tony Jaa, I love Tony Jaa. I've been a fan of his since Ong Bak, so I'm looking forward to that. 50 Cent, depending on, what he's given, he can knock it out of the park. So I'm down to see what he does with that. And Megan Fox, look, Megan Fox has gone through the ringer in Hollywood. I don't want to go on and bash her. I know that new movie she did, where she has her dead husband's body handcuffed to her for the whole movie. I forget what it was called. I know that people were saying that was really good and that she was good in it. I think, maybe she just needs the right material. That being said, though, the Expendables movies with their female actors hasn't necessarily been the best. I think was it the first one or the second one? I think it was the second one. It was the second one. I forgot her name. I didn't write it down, but she was basically the only woman in the group, and she, wasn't really written that well. Charisma Carpenter kind of played Jason Statham's girlfriend in the first movie and maybe the second movie, and she, it was really kind of a nothing role. She just kind of showed up and she was done. So I don't know. Hopefully they know how to write the female characters a little bit better. And if they want to, have Megan Fox be the female lead, great. More power to her. She can knock it out of the park. I wasn't the biggest Megan Fox fan in the world. I do know that she's been, doing these movies and people have been liking her from then. So, more power to her. She can knock it out of the park, and more power to them if they can knock it out of the park too. Because the last Expendables movie wasn't that great. I will openly admit that it wasn't that great. So, hopefully they can, do better. But I'm really looking forward to seeing who they add to the cast for this, and hopefully they bring back some more people from the past movie. Like Terry Crews and some other people in there. I don't know why they haven't announced them here, but we'll see. Let's move on to another sequel, surprising sequel. The once rumored sequel to Ben Affleck's starring The Accountant is no longer a rumor because director Gavin O'Connor has confirmed to CinemaBlend that he has closed the deal to make the sequel happen. O'Connor told the outlet that he's always intended to tell the story of Affleck's character Chris Wolf as a trilogy, with the focus moving toward his relationship with John Bernthal's character, which is a spoiler if you haven't seen the first movie yet. It came out in 2016. It's on TNT all the time, so if you want to watch The Accountants, you can turn on TNT at some point. I don't know who's streaming it, but TNT shows it a lot. It's unclear exactly when the sequel will start production, but O'Connor has confirmed that Affleck will return. Bernthal isn't a done deal just yet, but I'm assuming that O'Connor's probably having conversations with Bernthal to come back. Bernthal's character wasn't in the movie that much in the first one, so the fact that they want to, move forward with that is actually kind of interesting and cool. I didn't mind the first Accountant movie. I liked it when I saw it, and then I think I watched it again a little bit, probably like a few years after it came out. So a couple years, so maybe not last year, maybe 2019 when I watched it again. I didn't mind it. It was still fine. I mean, the movie does have some pacing issues, but other than that, it's, it is what it is, and I liked it. I think the Bernthal reveal of who his character is and how he's connected to Affleck's character does just kind of come out of nowhere. So I don't know. But if they want to make an Accountant sequel and they want to push that relationship forward, I think it will be interesting to see, because it is a very interesting dynamic, to say the least. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Moving on, Francis Coppola's long in development and ambitious film Megalopolis is eyeing some big names for the movie. Those names, give me a second here. Oscar Isaac, Cate Blanchett, Jessica Lange, Forrest Whitaker, Jon Voight, Zendaya, Michelle Pfeiffer, James Caan are all being eyed, but casting is not official in the slightest bit just yet. Coppola wrote the movie back in the 80s. Yes, he's been working on this movie for a while, and follows an architect who wants to rebuild New York City as a utopia following a devastating disaster. The passion project for Coppola has been pushed to the side on multiple reasons, from commitments to the Godfather series to, of course, other issues that come up with large-scale projects like this. And, of course, 9/11 happened, and I don't think anyone wanted to do a movie where New York gets destroyed when New York, of course, had that happen to them. The movie is reportedly set to cost between $100 and $120 million, reportedly at least. So that is a very big, ambitious movie. Coppola did comment on the matter, basically saying that he's finally going to do it and aims to start filming the movie next year, which should give him time to find a studio who's willing to commit to a $120 million budget, which not a lot of studios are willing to do, but Coppola's name does have some weight to it, so there is that. I know for a while Jude Law was attached to this. Jude Law was not mentioned in the report for all these names, so maybe he is no longer attached, or they're just going to restart conversations with him now that the movie is back on track. But yeah, we can be getting a new Francis Coppola movie, a passion project that he's been working on since the 80s, that he's wanted to do since the 80s. So let's do it. Why not? I'm down for that. Again, that budget though, I think that budget is going to be a problem for any studio that comes up. All right, let's move on to the next movie news item. Disney is moving forward with the revival of their cult classic film, The Rocketeer, with a movie for Disney Plus titled The Return of the Rocketeer. David Oyelowo, from Selma, he played Martin Luther King Jr. Wow, I totally blanked on the name. He was also, of course, in the first Rise of the Planet of the Apes movie, and he's been in a bunch of other stuff as well. Recently, he was in Chaos Walking. No, he did a project after that, but I just saw him in Chaos Walking, which is not a very good movie. But he will be producing with his production under his production banner, which I didn't know he had. He has a production banner called Yoruba Saxton. I think that's how it's pronounced. And a writer in Ed Reincourt, who wrote the first Now You See Me, and he's written an episode for series like Jessica Jones and Wayward Pines. David Oyelowo is also eyeing to star in the movie as well, which pretty interesting. The original, released in 1991 and was directed by Joe Johnson, followed a young pilot who finds a prototype jetpack and uses it for good. There's also a lot more to that story, but if you haven't watched it yet, I'm just gonna leave it to your surprise if you finally get down to watching it. This new version will take a new creative direction and will reportedly focus on a retired Tuskegee airman who finds the jetpack. So that would be pretty cool. I'm assuming that Oyelowo will probably play that retired Tuskegee airman who finds the jetpack. No word yet, but again, no word yet on that. There's also no word yet on when the movie will go into production, but Disney has been working on trying to do something with The Rocketeer. I remember more than a few years ago, probably a handful of years ago, word broke out that they were trying to develop a new movie with a female lead for The Rocketeer, but obviously nothing came of that. So I think they finally found something new with this, and I'm looking forward to it. I remember watching The Rocketeer. I don't remember anything about the movie. I remember the scene of him flying, but other than that, I don't remember. I remember certain stuff. And I was, reading the report and they mentioned something from the movie and I'm like, oh, that's right, that did happen. I have a vague memory of that happening. So I have not watched Rocketeer in quite some time. I probably have to go back and watch it. It is on Disney. It's on Disney Plus. So if you want to go watch it before this new one comes out, whenever it comes out, there you go. All right. Let us move on to the final movie news item of the week, at least at the time of this recording. And that is some unfortunate delays. Paramount Pictures has unfortunately delayed their remaining theatrical movies for the rest of the year, and one movie from next year, meaning that Paramount is done with releasing movies this year, at least in theaters. Those movies are Top Gun Maverick, Jackass Forever, and Mission Impossible 7. Mission Impossible 7 will now leave its Memorial Day weekend release from next year to September 30th of next year. Top Gun Maverick will now come out on Memorial Day weekend next year, which is May 27th, by the way. And Jackass Forever will now move from its October release of this year to next year as well, to February 4th, which, yes, is the same day as the previously mentioned Moonfall that we talked about earlier. These moves now mean that Top Gun Maverick will come out 3 years after its original announced release date, which was July 2019. Mission Impossible 7 has only been delayed a year, and Jackass Forever has been moved around quite a few times as well. So there is that. The movie does sound like it comes from the rise of COVID and Delta cases and them not wanting to release a big movie at the box office so it can suffer box office losses. So it's a smart move on Paramount's part, but again, it's kind of a bummer. And there is another delay. Thankfully, it's not a big delay. Ghostbusters Afterlife has also been delayed just a week. It will now take over the release date for Top Gun Maverick, which was November 19th. And just in case you missed it, Afterlife was screened at CinemaCon last week, and it got rave reviews saying that it is a worthy sequel to the original series. So there is that. We talked about delays last week. I guess an update, I should say, Venom Let There Be Carnage will not be delayed. It looks like it's still coming out in October, unless something happens within this month. But yeah, we talked about delays last week, and I did mention that because of the rise of COVID cases and the rise of the Delta variant, the scare of the Delta variant. But regardless of that, COVID and Delta, there's, cases are running rampant again and they're on the rise, and I don't blame, studios for delaying their movies. It is really, really bummy news to especially to to see movies that we've been excited for to get delayed. I know that Paramount was really on board. They were really hoping that Top Gun Maverick will come out this year. I mean, they could just drop it on Paramount Plus, but I don't think they want to do that. The movie will come out on Paramount Plus. It won't come out on Paramount Plus first, but it will come out later when it does. But I don't know, man. It's like, it sucks. Obviously, you know, I know a lot of us just want to go back to normal. A lot of us just want to go back to living our lives. A lot of us, from us movie lovers, just want to go to a movie theater without being worried about catching, you know, a disease that can kill us or potentially kill us or just really jack us up in the worst way possible. And we want to watch our movies. We want to watch our movies on the big screen. And we can't do that because people are dumb sometimes and they don't take care of themselves. And now we have this to worry about. And I was worried about this. I mentioned a few weeks ago, probably last month, where I mentioned that, you know, if studios start delaying movies, it could be a domino effect and other studios will start delaying those movies. So there is still a lot of big movies yet to come out. Obviously, Venom: Let There Be Carnage is one, if you could consider that a big movie. Halloween Kills, West Side Story. I don't know why those are the only ones that pop in my head. There's obviously a bunch of other ones as well, but yeah, this is, I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like this. It's giving me flashbacks. And Paramount, by the way, was one of those first studios that delayed their movie and then decided to take it off the release schedule with A Quiet Place Part 2 last year when, you know, cases were going up and it was becoming a real problem. COVID, obviously. So hopefully, again, it isn't a domino effect and it happens again. But if it needs to happen again, obviously, I hope it does, because I know it will suck. But if what we need is a lockdown again, if that just, you know, proves, you know, if that finally gives the people who are reluctant about this and not taking this seriously, if that gives them the reality check that they need, fine. You know, let's just do it. Yeah, I'm okay with that. All right. I didn't want to end the podcast on a bummer note, but that's okay because we still got one more segment on the podcast, and that is the movies coming out in theaters and for streaming for all your viewing pleasures.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, so let's talk about the movies that are coming out on streaming first. The first one is Cinderella, which is directed by Kay Canyon, who wrote Blockers, or directed Blockers. I think she also wrote Blockers as well. But she also directed the Pitch Perfect movies. This has a singer, now turned actress, Camila Cabello, playing Cinderella, a new version of Cinderella, who wants to start her own business. And, of course, has her evil stepmother, played by Idina Menzel, of all people, and her evil stepsisters as well. Billy Porter's in there playing her fairy godmother. James Corden plays one of the mouses that helps her. Minnie Driver's in there. I forgot who she's... I think Minnie Driver and Pierce Brosnan are playing the king and queen. I did not put down who was playing the prince. That's my bad. Apologize for that. But, yeah, I haven't heard anything about Cinderella. Granted, I haven't gone out and seen what the reaction was for Cinderella, but I don't think I'll be watching Cinderella. It's not targeted toward me. I'll just put it that way. So moving on. The next one is Worth. This will be streaming on Netflix. Oh, Cinderella, by the way, is on Prime Video. Worth is on Netflix. This is based on the true story of an attorney in Washington who battles cynicism, bureaucracy, and politics to help the victims of 9/11. We talked about this when the trailer came out. It's about the attorney who was in charge of making sure, or was in charge of, you know, giving the victims and the families of those who were, you know, killed in 9/11. 9/11, by the way, the anniversary. I didn't realize it was the anniversary already this week, or, you know, it's coming up to the anniversary because it's not September 11th yet. It's coming up to the anniversary, the big one, which it's. I can't even believe it's been that long. But he's trying to evaluate, you know, who should get more money from that. And it's again, we watched the trailer. I mentioned how the trailer, I didn't realize that this was a real thing. And the trailer just kind of hits you in the gut a little bit, considering that this is really what happened. But Michael Keaton stars. He plays the attorney. Stanley Tucci's also in there, and Amy Ryan. I almost said Meg Ryan. It's not Meg Ryan. It's Amy Ryan. But yeah, it's that. It looks very powerful. Again, the trailer is a punch in the gut, so I can only imagine how the actual movie is. But yeah, there you go. The next movie that will be streaming and on VOD, it will also be getting a limited release in theaters. So if you get a chance to watch this in the movie theater, you can. It's called The Gateway. Or The Gateway, sorry, I don't know why I read that wrong. The Gateway, a social worker assigned to care for the daughter of a single mother intervenes when the father returns from prison and lures them into a life of crime. Shea Wingham is the lead in the movie. He plays the social worker. I love Shea Wingham. He is one of those people that just pops up in a movie and I'm just like, yeah, Shea Wingham. I do. I really do like Shea Wingham. He played one of the soldiers in Kong Skull Island. He was in Agent Carter, the TV series. He's in the Fast and the Furious movies. He plays the FBI agent that helps out Paul Walker's character. He's just been in a bunch of stuff, and if you know when you see him who he is. Olivia Munn, she plays the mother in the movie. Keith David's also in there. Frank Grillo, Bruce Dern is in the movie as well. So this looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I saw the trailer and I really enjoyed it, and I hope I get a chance to see it. It is coming out on VOD, like I mentioned, limited release. It looks like it's coming out on Apple TV Plus, so if you want to go give that a watch, if you have that service, you can. It'll be on there as well. Also coming out on VOD is Don't Breathe 2. It came out a few weeks ago, but Don't Breathe 2 will be coming out. I just saw that it's coming out on video on demand, so if you didn't get a chance to watch it in theaters like I did, we can now watch it from the comfort of our own home. So there you go. But in theaters this week, the big release, obviously, the one that everyone's talking about, is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This movie's been getting a lot of rave reviews. People are saying that it's the best MCU movie. People are saying that it's finally we're getting some representation. Of course, the Asian community is saying that, which I totally agree with. Not being Asian myself, but agreeing that there should be a lot more Asian representation in film, especially as heroes. So this is really cool. I have not watched it yet. I did not go to any sort of screening or midnight screening. I don't have that kind of power. Thank you for thinking that I do, but I do not. So I'm looking forward to this. I am going to go see this weekend, and I don't know why I blanked on that. I'm going to go see it this weekend, and I'm looking forward to this. I really am. I'm glad that everyone is saying they liked it, and I know there's a lot of people really saying that Tony Leung's character, the villain of the movie, is really, really good. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that, because I love Tony Leung from his obviously his work. He's a long body of work, and I love him for that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. People are saying the action's great. So I don't know. I keep hearing great things about it, so I'm just regurgitating that back to you. So hopefully that is the case. So those are your movies coming out in theaters and streaming. Like I mentioned, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Don't Breathe 2, Gateway, I almost said it wrong again. I don't know what's wrong with me. Worth and Cinderella, all coming out in theaters and streaming for you guys this weekend. And that's it. That's all the movie news items I have for you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast this week. I very much appreciate it. No matter where you're listening, if you're listening to this on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or on Stitcher, very much appreciate it. If you are listening on one of those services and aren't subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe. Please, I appreciate that. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review. Give it 5 stars. Give us 4 stars. If you give me 3 stars, I'm just inclined to believe that you are a hater. And although if that's your personal opinion and that's your real opinion, then I will respect that. But I'll still call you a hater. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast this week. I very much appreciate it. I do want to say, if you are living in the East Coast and suffering the effects of Hurricane Ida, no matter where you are, if you're in New York, if you're down south, if you're in any of the affected places by Hurricane Ida, please stay safe. I've just been watching the news, and I know a few people who live in that pathway, and I just I've seen that you guys are safe, so thank you. But if you're in that area and you are just listening to my podcast, which I don't know why you're listening to my podcast if you're dealing with all that, but very selfish of me to think that that's the case. Wow. Anyway, just if you know anybody in that area, I hope they're safe, and I hope they're okay. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast this week. I appreciate it. and I'll hope to see you guys next week. I'm still thinking that I will be doing a review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings next week, a spoiler just kind of reaction, not necessarily a review, but just kind of a reaction of it. I think that's just appropriate. I did one for Black Widow. I haven't done one for any of the other movies I've seen. I've been watching a lot of movies. If you follow the podcast Twitter, you know I've been watching a lot of movies, but I probably should start doing that. Yeah, I'll probably come back and do one for Shang-Chi if I have the time. Obviously it's Labor Day weekend this weekend, so hopefully all of you have a very safe and happy, most importantly, safe Labor Day weekend and happy Labor Day weekend. And I don't know. So we'll see if I have the time to do one. If I don't, I apologize. I will be giving my reactions though on my Twitter page, which is where I give my reactions, and of course on the podcast Instagram. So yeah, all right, that's it. I'm rambling. Thank you guys so much. Have a safe, fun weekend. Be good people. Continue the social distance. Please continue to wash your hands, wear your masks, and as always, go watch some movies.
Whoop whoop! Yeah! Give it up! Movies!